right? That's that's your boy, Brad Garlinghouse, sitting right here with the gentleman from Vivo Power, right? Speaking of regulations, that's kind of like a perfect transition into just this little tiny, presentation I want to give, because the landscape's changing, and kind of what I want to share right now is I want to show you guys that these are all recent developments that are happening for the first time ever, and they should really wake people up into realizing, wow, the landscape is a lot different than what it used to be. Maybe I should start to change with the moving tide instead of having this outdated bias and mindset, and start to try to learn something new. Why? Because the institutions are telling me I should, the regulators are telling me I should. And that's what a lot of people were waiting for, is regulatory clarity and institutional demand. But it's like now people are resisting what the institutions and the regulators are telling people, because we've been so misled to believe a certain mindset that existed prior to this new wave of information, right? You get what I'm saying? It's like people can't comprehend that regulators are actually coming out and giving verbal clarity. Institutions are now actually coming out and specifically saying what they're going to do with their XRP. I mentioned a part in this previous video breakdown is like, even just 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we could always find documents that said Ripple or said XRP or said this or said that, but it was never any real document that was like, we are going to use XRP for XYZ, right? Am I making that up, or is that like, I'm pretty sure?
No, you're spot on. You're spot on, bro. Yeah.
Right. It was always just kind of like speculation. It was researchers like putting pieces of the puzzle together and saying, this is most likely what's going to happen based off of these facts. But now we actually have organizations with valid credentials physically coming out, making large investments into crypto and saying, this is what we're specifically going to use crypto for. Not blockchain, not the ledger, not nothing, mentioning specifically XRP. Right. So I want to show you guys that. So I'm going to start here and break down for you guys what's been taking place in case you missed this. So we got verbal confirmation from the SEC roundtable on DeFi the other day from the SEC chair. And this was streamed 3 weeks ago. Dates are going to be important here. I want you guys to pay attention, because all of these announcements happened directly around the same exact time. And I don't believe in coincidences, right? So you have here this roundtable that was streamed 3 weeks ago. Listen to what Chair Atkins says here about how staking does not classify as a security. Listen to this.
The prior U.S. government administration discouraged Americans from participating in these market-based systems by asserting through lawsuits, speeches, regulation, and threatened regulatory action that participants and staking as a service providers may be engaged in securities transactions. I'm grateful to the Division of Corporation Finance staff for clarifying its view that voluntary participation in proof of work or proof of stake network as a miner or a validator or staking as a service provider is not within the scope of the federal securities laws.
So even though that is not written confirmation, there's nothing been signed into legal, structure yet. That is verbal confirmation, and that is massive. Okay, that's massive. It's the first time in history that we've ever gotten that from an SEC chair, right? So at the same exact time that happened, because we'd be paying attention to crazy ass details. So look at this. This is from 2 days ago. This video has 27 views. And what is this video titled? Institutional Treasuries and Yield. Gaps, Gains, and Opportunities. It's from the Yield Innovation Summit that took place at New York in 2025, June 23rd. So this was, if the video of Chair Atkins was 3 weeks ago, this video is from about 2 weeks ago. Okay, because today is July 4th. So if we look at who's on this panel, Jake O by BitGo, he's the head of growth. That's going to be important. And who we're going to listen to is this gentleman here, Ryan Day. He's from Solstice Labs. So just to give you a clear perspective of who these two gentlemen are, okay, let's go over here. Solstice Labs is an institutional grade investment opportunity, or provides, excuse me, investment grade institutional opportunities across DeFi. In their bio, it says they provide institutional investment grade opportunities. Solstice Labs is a Deutsche X enterprise company delivering permissionless, composable investment opportunities to investors of all kinds. Functioning as, I'm probably pronouncing this correctly, Deutsche X's DeFi unit, Solstice Labs is opening the door to DeFi through, I'm not going to read the rest of that. So anyways, institutional grade DeFi opportunities. That's who this gentleman stems from. That's going to be telling you guys this stuff. And then remember this other guy, Jake O from BitGo. Okay, well, if we come right over here, look at what was announced on June 2nd, just days after the SEC chair announced that that staking does not classify as a security. Look at this. BitGo enters a strategic partnership with Vivo Power to facilitate its initial US $100 million XRP acquisition for their treasury strategy, right? And in this treasury strategy, it talks about how BitGo is going to utilize XRP to generate yield, right? This is wild. So if you read this, or if you just go over, for example, to the Vivo Power, look at this, go to Vivo Power X profile. Vivo Power is building a virtuous cycle, generating yield and using it to systematically increase its core XRP position, creating a perpetually compounding engine for shareholder value. This is from June 11, 2025. And they just partnered with BitGo, right? Listen to what this dude, BitGo, head of growth, sitting next to Ryan Day, says on stage about what the SEC chair commissioner just said. Just check this out. So if you go to 23 minutes and 29 seconds in here, he talks about how what the SEC chair said gave institutions verbal confirmation. Look at this.
There's been a lot of really good market tailwinds, right?
In general, there's like the market structure bill.
There's been a lot of really good market tailwinds, right? So we had the SEC put out their opinion on staking. So that was like a huge win for the space. I think that was fantastic. And it really opens up a lot of opportunities. Another small shameless shill, Solstice Staking. We just opened up some Solana validators in the US. So come check us out. But regardless, like those types of things, those are the signals that a lot of the institutions who are crypto curious, who are sitting on the sidelines, are looking for. They're looking for a little bit of, I don't know about clarity, but they're looking for some signals that things might want to change. And the people who are on the fence that are they're trying to be not the first people, but right behind the first people. Those are the signals that they're looking for. The Genius Act, I think, is another great.
Do I need to run that back, or did y'all hear what this motherfucker just said? He just said that the verbal confirmation that the SEC chair gave is what the institutions that have been sitting on the sideline need.
Facts, bro. You should run it back though one more time, because what he said is very powerful, and it's 100% aligned with what we've been saying. Man, run that shit back though for sure, because yeah.
There's been a lot of really good market tailwinds, right? So we had the SEC put out their opinion on staking. So that was like a huge win for the space. I think that was fantastic. And it really opens up a lot of opportunities. Another small shameless shill, Solstice Staking. We just opened up some Solana validators in the US. So come check us out. But regardless, like those types of things, those are the signals that a lot of the institutions who are crypto curious, who are sitting on the sidelines, are looking for. They're looking for a little bit of, I don't know about clarity, but they're looking for some signals that things might want to change. And the people who are on the fence that are they're trying to be not the first people, but right behind the first people. Those are the signals that they're looking for.
Okay, keep in mind, this is the type of research we'll be doing here at CYPRX, right? This video alone has 27 views, which is, again, backs what I'm saying, that most influencers in this space don't even know that this stuff is happening because they haven't seen the info yet, right? And look at what I'm showing you. Who is sitting next to this guy? This is fucking crazy, y'all. This is physical proof that this shit is happening. Look at this. Who's sitting next to this guy? This dude I just showed you from BitGo, Jake O. He's the head of growth of this organization. And this organization, BitGo, what did they just announce? BitGo enters a strategic partnership with Vivo Power to facilitate its initial US $100 million XRP acquisition for an XRP treasury strategy. And this is literally 2 days after the SEC freaking DeFi roundtable, when the SEC chair gave verbal clarity that staking does not classify as a security. This is huge.
And this like low key is this telling us too, like this 100 million XRP is going to be used in DeFi. So it's technically going to be it's going to be locked up on the XRPL. So that's going to add to the TVL.
Yeah. It's going to be on chain. It has to be.
Right.
Because
this is a strategy that they're going to be running in DeFi.
Right.
So you can't do that in a wallet off chain.
Like as soon as that green light was given for institutions, everyone started buying like ETH started getting bought up because now institutions can stake ETH. Now Solana just launched their ETF a couple of days ago, and now institutions can buy Solana and stake it.
Y'all, please tell me who this is. Right, that's that's your boy Brad Garlinghouse sitting right here with the gentleman from Vivo Power. Right, and what is Vivo Power going to use their XRP for? I mean, look, if you just type it in yourself, they tell you directly to your face. This is what I'm talking about. How now for the first time ever, they're publicly announcing that they're going to use XRP for these things. So nobody anymore, unless you have more credentials than Brad Garlinghouse himself, who's took a picture with these people, can tell you that that's not what they're going to be using XRP for, because they're telling you, right?
Facts.
And before this is what I'm trying to get people to see. Before this, it was so hard for us as researchers to prove what they're going to be using XRP for. Not anymore. And this isn't the only announcement, bro. Look at this. This is Centura. Okay, check this out. This is another announcement that just came out. Look at this. This is from May 6, 2025. So think about it. About 3 weeks before the SEC roundtable. So it's almost as if they had to know that the SEC was going to make that announcement, because why would they be building an institutional DeFi platform? Look at this. Today marks a defining moment in the evolution of Into the Block. We are thrilled to announce our merger with Trident. I highlighted that in purple. Trident Digital and the completion of a $25 million Series A funding round. This milestone accelerates our mission to bring institutional adoption of DeFi and unifies two pioneering teams under a new banner, Centura, right? So they're building this institutional grade DeFi platform. And well, if we go over to what Trident announced, look at this. So Trident, that collaboration, building an institutional platform, days after the SEC chair said that staking does not classify as a security, on June 12th, Trident announced up to $500 million of a financing plan for an XRP treasury and appoints Chance Securities LLC as the strategic advisor. And right down here in purple, it says, this initiative will focus on the acquisition of XRP tokens as long-term strategic reserves and the deployment of staking mechanisms to generate yield and deliver deep engagement with the Ripple ecosystem. This is another big ass organization that's telling you what they're using XRP for, and it's staking. It's yield generation.
And I love how you are emphasizing too how it came after that announcement, after that verbal confirmation that we got. It's like these guys were watching just like we were, and they were like, "Hey, we're going with game plan A because we just got confirmation. So let's let the world know now what's cracking."
I'm just saying,
yeah,
it's like, come on, you can only ignore it for so long before you're like, okay, it's hit me in the face so many times, I got to pay attention to whatever the heck this is. You can't ignore this. Before, shout out to all the researchers in the XRP community that have been delivering good value, but cross-border remittances and XRP as a bridge and XRP for payments, it's not outdated, don't get me wrong, but there's a new wave. And David Schwartz himself, in this video breakdown that we showed you guys, confirmed that new wave is institutional DeFi.
Facts.
So
yeah, man.
I don't know what else to say, at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's powerful stuff. I mean, I know this is landing. I can feel like everyone that's watching right now is like, this is landing for them heavily, and it's like making sense it's probably making sense for the very first time for a few folks that are watching this right now as well. I feel like, because right now this is like, you can't deny this. Like, how could you deny this? And you know what I mean? Like, there's no denying this. These are facts. So
Yeah, and the great part about this is this is exactly why we've built the Wealth 28 Club over the last year. It's actually been a year and a couple months now. You know, this was our mission, to wake people up and to get you guys to see that this is happening and come learn about it. You don't have to go out there and risk your XRP to learn about this stuff, y'all. Well, that's not what we've ever told anybody here. You don't have to. Actually, as a matter of fact, I don't recommend that you risk your assets. I actually personally recommend, and so do these two gentlemen with me sitting in on the call, that you don't do shit with your crypto until you know what you're doing. But you have to lay that educational foundation first, and that takes doing research or fast tracking your approach, tapping in with us here in the Wealth 28 Club, where these two dudes every single week, especially if you're, you enhance your membership and you tap into the Discord, they jump in and they do DeFi calls every single week. And anybody that has a question, anybody that has anything to bring to the table, we talk about these things openly with our community, and everybody's learning, everybody's moving, everybody's, in the wit with what's happening. And I'm telling you, we're superseding a lot of communities out there just because of our awareness to what's happening with our digital assets, not just buying and hodling, Go ahead, Kev, you're muted.
Oh yeah, so that's a fact, man. Being able to make a couple $100 a week or a day, depending on how much capital you have, is amazing, because not only are you buying more time for yourself to spend with your family and friends and do what you want to do, you start feeling like like you're on top of the world, man. Like you figured out the matrix. Like, you're not part of that rat race anymore. You're not waking up at 6 o'clock to go to work and dealing with different personalities. You're just waking up and printing money and paying your bills and raising your children. So DeFi is really powerful, man.
It definitely puts the power of the banks back in the hands of the people. Speaking of that, I'm actually thinking about chopping up our breakdown, our presentation of your strategy with Aave, and making it public, because I really truly feel that people need to know that we have a mentor in our community that has physically shown through some of the biggest historical events in crypto that you can keep a rising equity curve on a lending and borrowing platform, one of the biggest in the DeFi ecosystem, and you have direct connections to schedule one-on-ones with that person in our community is huge. Because think about it. Imagine on a platform that Aqua's efficient on, like MetalX, they do enhance their infrastructure and they add that swap feature, in the future. We're already going to have a strategy that we can partake in on other protocols that work, and just migrate that over to other existing protocols with other digital assets, and have different looping strategies being ran on multiple different chains, on multiple different protocols. And it doesn't really matter whether you're an XRP maxi or an XPR maxi or even a Bitcoin maxi or whatever digital asset maxi. If it's got a DeFi ecosystem, you can run these strategies that we're battle testing for y'all, like literally physically battle testing our strategies for you guys and recording everything so that you guys can learn. Like, how much money myself, Aqua, and Kev have publicly made available for people to see that we're testing in the Wealth 28 Club? It's wild. It's not a game.
It's not a game at all, for sure. And you got, man, what's so amazing though too is that all the Zoom calls that you just mentioned, you can go in and watch every single one of them, because it's in the Wealth 28 Club. And it's going to be there for life. So you can watch at the very beginning and just, go down the horn. There's so many powerful gems and tools that you can gather. And it's much better to be aligned with a community that's talking this language and is tapping into this, these protocols and stuff, and as opposed to doing it by yourself. Because the moment you run into a roadblock or a situation where you don't understand something, I mean, a community is where you can lean on and you can ask these questions to the community. And There really hasn't ever been a question that never got that. Every single question has been answered from somebody in the community, because somebody in the community has potentially already been using that protocol or maybe ran into that roadblock. So yeah, I mean, powers of a community are strong. Don't underestimate it, you know, especially if you're on this live right now and you gathered a bunch of gems. Like, I mean, you know, just imagine what's inside the World 28 Club, because these conversations go even deeper. And then, you know, spiritualness will even come into the conversation as well. So yeah, tap in with us. There's many gems you guys can gain from us inside.